Christmas is supposed to be a day of peace, love, and family. But for Sarah Miller, December 25th became the day her life shattered. While sitting down to a lavish dinner she had cooked, her husband didn't hand her a gift. He handed her a manila envelope. Inside were divorce papers, but the heartbreak didn't come from the papers. It came from the reaction. His mother didn't cry. His sister didn't gasp. They cheered. They clapped, as if their favorite team had just won the Super Bowl. They thought they were finally getting rid of her. But they made one fatal miscalculation. They forgot to check whose name was on the deed to the mansion, and who actually owned the family company they were so proud of. They wanted her gone? Fine, but she was taking everything with her. This is the story of the coldest Christmas ever, and the burning revenge that followed. The dining room of the Hawthorne estate was always cold, regardless of how high the thermostat was cranked. It was a coldness that seeped from the mahogany walls and the stiff, judgmental portraits of ancestors who looked like they hadn't smiled since 1920. On December 25, 2023, Sarah Miller, technically Sarah Hawthorne for a few more minutes, placed a perfectly roasted turkey in the center of the table. The smell of rosemary and thyme filled the air, usually a scent that brought comfort. Today, it just made her nauseous. Careful with the gravy boats, Sarah. Eleanor Hawthorne, her mother-in-law, snapped from the head of the table. Eleanor was a woman who wore pearls like armor and viewed kindness as a character flaw. That's genuine silver. It's been in the family for 4 generations. We wouldn't want you to mishandle it. I've lived here for 7 years, Eleanor, Sarah said, her voice steady, though her hands trembled slightly. I haven't dropped it yet. There's a first time for everything. Beatrice, Sarah's sister-in-law, snickered. Beatrice was 35, unemployed, and currently living in the guest wing while she found herself, a journey that had been ongoing for 6 years. Sarah sat down next to her husband, Liam. Liam was handsome in that classic, effortless way. Tall, sandy blonde hair, jawline sharp enough to cut glass. But lately, his eyes were vacant. He had been distant for months, blaming work stress at Hawthorne Logistics, the family shipping company. Sarah had tried everything. Couples therapy, weekend getaways, giving him space. Nothing worked. "Merry Christmas, everyone," Sarah said, raising her wine glass. She tried to catch Liam's eye, but he was staring at his plate, pushing a Brussels sprout around with his fork. Yes, Merry Christmas. Eleanor waved her hand dismissively. Let's get through dinner. Liam, you said you had an announcement or a gift. You've been fidgeting all evening. Liam stopped pushing the sprout. He took a deep breath, downed the rest of his scotch, and reached under his chair. He pulled out a thick, yellow manila envelope. Sarah's heart skipped a beat. Tickets? She wondered. A deed to a vacation home? Maybe the adoption papers we talked about last year? Liam didn't slide the envelope across the table. He dropped it on Sarah's plate, right on top of the slice of turkey she hadn't touched. The heavy thud silenced the room. What is this? Sarah asked, looking up at him. Her voice felt small. Open it, Liam said. His voice wasn't angry. It was worse. It was indifferent. Sarah's fingers felt like ice as she undid the metal clasp. She pulled out the stack of documents. The bold text at the top of the first page screamed at her in black and white. Petition for dissolution of marriage. The room spun. The ticking of the grandfather clock in the hallway sounded like gunshots. Liam, Sarah whispered. On Christmas? I couldn't wait until New Year's, Sarah, Liam said, finally looking at her. His eyes were cold, devoid of the warmth she had fallen in love with. I'm unhappy. I've been unhappy for a long time. You don't fit in this world. You never did. You're simple, and I need someone who can match my ambition. Sarah felt the tears pricking her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She looked around the table, expecting shock, expecting Eleanor to scold her son for his cruelty, expecting Beatrice to look away in awkward silence. Instead, a sound erupted that Sarah would never forget as long as she lived. Clap, clap, clap. Eleanor was applauding, a slow rhythmic clap. Finally! Eleanor exclaimed, reaching for the wine bottle. Oh, thank God, Liam, I told you. Didn't I tell you? I told you 5 years ago she was a mistake. Oh, this is the best Christmas gift you could have given me. About time, little brother. Beatrice chimed in, raising her glass. Cheers to that! Does this mean we can finally get the guest room back? I need space for my yoga studio. Sarah looked from face to face. It wasn't just a blindside. It was a conspiracy. They knew. They all knew. While she was peeling potatoes and basting the turkey since 5 a.m., they were waiting for the moment to execute her socially. You knew? Sarah asked, her voice trembling. Eleanor, you knew? Of course I knew, Eleanor scoffed. We helped him draft the terms with the family lawyer last week. We're offering you a generous severance. $20,000. Take it, leave the keys, and go back to that little apartment complex you came from. $20,000? Sarah repeated. I put my life savings into renovating this house. I managed the company's books for 3 years for free when you were nearly bankrupt. That was your duty as a wife, Liam said, cutting a piece of steak. Don't act like a martyr, Sarah. It's unbecoming. You have until January 1st to move out, but I'd prefer if you left tonight. Veronica is coming over tomorrow. The name hung in the air like toxic smoke. Veronica, Liam's high school sweetheart, the daughter of a senator, the woman Eleanor had always wanted him to marry. Veronica, Sarah stood up. Her chair scraped loudly against the floor. You're cheating on me? We're reconnecting, Liam corrected smoothly. And since we are now separated as of the serving of these papers, it's none of your business. Sarah looked at the three of them. The Hawthorne family. They looked so smug, so secure in their wealth and their lineage. They thought power came from the last name. They thought leverage came from loud voices and expensive suits. They had absolutely no idea. Sarah closed the folder. She didn't scream. She didn't flip the table. She didn't throw the wine in Liam's face much as she wanted to. A strange, icy calm washed over her. It was the calm of a soldier who realizes the enemy has just walked into a minefield. Okay? Sarah said softly. Okay? Liam blinked, surprised by her lack of fight. Okay, she repeated, louder this time. She picked up her purse from the side table. I'll pack a bag. I'll be out in an hour. Good girl, Eleanor smirked. Leave the jewelry Liam bought you. It belongs to the family. Sarah paused at the doorway. She turned back, looking at the chandelier, the paintings, the silver gravy boat. She memorized the look on Eleanor's face, that twisted mask of triumph. She needed to remember it for later, when the bill came due. I'll leave the jewelry, Sarah said. Enjoy your dinner. I hope it tastes like victory, because it's the last meal you'll ever eat in this house. Don't be dramatic, dear, Beatrice laughed. This house has been in the Hawthorne name for 100 years. Sarah didn't respond. She just walked out of the dining room, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. She climbed the stairs to the master bedroom, the sounds of their laughter echoing up the staircase. They were toasting. They were celebrating her destruction. Sarah pulled her phone out of her pocket. She had one call to make. It wasn't to her mother. It wasn't to a friend. She dialed a number she had saved under Do Not Call Unless Emergency. It rang twice. Mr. Henderson, Sarah said when the gruff voice answered. It's Sarah. Initiate protocol read. Yes, tonight. They did it. They actually did it. Upstairs, Sarah moved with mechanical precision. She grabbed a single suitcase. She didn't pack the designer dresses Liam had bought her to parade her around at galas. She didn't pack the furs Eleanor had insisted she wear. She packed her jeans, her comfortable sweaters, her laptop, and a small locked metal box from the back of the closet. She could hear the clinking of silverware downstairs. The atmosphere had lightened instantly. They were relieved. To them, Sarah was a stain that had finally been scrubbed out. She walked into the bathroom and looked at herself in the mirror. She expected to see a broken woman. She expected red eyes and running mascara. But the woman staring back looked sharp. Dangerous. Sarah Miller wasn't just a simple girl, as Liam had called her. She was a forensic accountant. That was how she met Liam 7 years ago. Hawthorne Logistics had been under audit, hemorrhaging money. Liam had charmed her, romanced her, and swept her off her feet. She had fixed their books, saved their company from tax fraud, and then married the heir. Because of love, she had blinded herself to their flaws. Because of love, she had structured their assets to protect them. Because of love, she had signed documents they didn't bother to read because they trusted her to handle the boring math stuff. They never read the documents. Sarah zipped up her suitcase. She stripped off her wedding ring. It was a 2-carat diamond, heavy and cold. She placed it on the nightstand, next to a picture of her and Liam from their honeymoon in Recruit. She walked downstairs. The dining room was louder now. "I say we turn her office into a wine cellar," Liam was saying. "Excellent idea," Eleanor agreed. Sarah walked past the dining room archway without stopping. She opened the heavy oak front door. The winter air bit at her face, sharp and cleansing. It was snowing harder now, covering the pristine lawn of the estate in a blanket of white. She dragged her suitcase to her car, a sensible sedan, not the luxury SUV Liam drove. As she started the engine, she looked back at the house. The windows glowed with warm yellow light. It looked like a postcard, a lie wrapped in brick and mortar. She drove down the long driveway, past the iron gates, and pulled onto the main road. She didn't go to a hotel. She drove 20 minutes into the city, pulling up to a modern, glass-fronted building that housed the law firm of Henderson, Graves and Associates. The lights were off, except for one corner office on the 10th floor. Sarah buzzed the intercom. "It's me." The door clicked open. 10 minutes later, she was sitting across from Arthur Henderson. Arthur was 70 years old, a shark in a 3-piece suit who had been her mentor before she married Liam. He had warned her about the Hawthorns. He had told her they were vipers. "Merry Christmas, Arthur," Sarah said dryly, placing the metal box on his desk. "I hate to say I told you so," Arthur sighed, pouring 2 glasses of bourbon. He slid one to her. "But I told you so." "They served me during dinner," Sarah said, taking a sip. The burn felt good. Eleanor clapped. "Beatrice asked for my room." Arthur shook his head. "Amateurs. Cruel amateurs. Did they mention the prenup?" Liam said $20,000. Arthur laughed, a dry, rasping sound. 20,000. That wouldn't cover the retainer for the divorce lawyer they hired. They really think the 2017 prenup is the valid one, don't they? "They do," Sarah nodded. They forgot about the restructuring of 2021. In 2021, Hawthorne Logistics was on the brink of collapse due to Liam's gambling debts, another secret Sarah had kept. To save the company, the bank required a guarantor with pristine credit and assets. Liam didn't have it. Eleanor didn't have it. She was leveraged to the hilt. Sarah did. "Let's review the assets," Arthur said, opening a file on his desk. "Just to be sure we have the ammunition ready for tomorrow morning." "The house," Sarah listed. 14 Oakwood Drive. Technically owned by the Hawthorne Family Trust, Arthur corrected. However, who is the sole trustee with exclusive power of attorney and beneficiary rights as appointed during the refinancing deal? Sarah smiled for the first time that night. "I am." "Correct. Liam signed over his executive rights to the trust to hide the asset from his gambling creditors. He never signed them back. The company," Sarah continued, "Hawthorne Logistics, currently operating under a holding company structure." Arthur tapped the paper. "When you injected your personal savings, inheritance from your grandmother, to pay off the IRS lien, you were issued Class A voting shares. Liam holds Class B shares." "Meaning?" "Meaning he has the title of CEO," Arthur grinned, his teeth looking predatory in the dim light. "But you have the voting power to fire the CEO. You control 51% of the board." "And the patent," Sarah added. "The new tracking software that just got acquired by Amazon? The one that's going to make the company millions next year?" "Developed by you in your spare time," Arthur noted. "Intellectual property rights are in your name, Sarah Miller, not Hawthorne Logistics. You licensed it to them, a license that is revocable. Let me see." Arthur squinted at the contract. "Upon the event of a divorce filing." Sarah leaned back in the leather chair. The magnitude of what was about to happen hit her. The Hawthorns weren't just divorcing their wife, they were divorcing their lifeline. They were cutting the parachute cord while falling from a plane. "They have no idea," Sarah whispered. They think I'm just the girl who cooks the turkey and balances the checkbook. They mistook silence for weakness, Arthur said. So what is the plan? Do we wait for the court date? Sarah thought about the clapping. She thought about Beatrice laughing. She thought about Liam bringing his mistress into her home tomorrow. No, Sarah said, her eyes hardening. We don't wait. Liam said I have until January 1st to move out. He wants to play by the rules, let's play. But we're playing by my rules now. Freeze the company accounts, revoke the software license. And Arthur? Yes? Issue the eviction notice for 14 Oakwood Drive. I want it served tomorrow morning, Boxing Day. Arthur raised his glass. To a very Merry Christmas, Sarah. To justice, Sarah replied, clinking her glass against his. While the Hawthorns slept in their silk sheets, dreaming of a future without Sarah, Sarah was awake, systematically dismantling their entire world, piece by piece. The sun would rise soon, and when it did, the Hawthorne dynasty would wake up to a nightmare. The morning of December 26th broke over the Hawthorne estate with deceptive beauty. The snow from the night before glistened under a bright sun, making the world look clean and new. Inside 14 Oakwood Drive, the mood was jubilant. Liam woke up in the master bedroom, a room he now felt he truly owned. Sarah's side of the bed was made, her presence erased. He stretched, feeling a lightness he hadn't felt in years. He grabbed his phone and texted Veronica, "Coast is clear. Come over. It's finally ours." Downstairs, the smell of coffee filled the kitchen. But it wasn't Sarah brewing it. It was Beatrice, struggling with the expensive espresso machine Sarah usually operated. "Stupid thing," Beatrice muttered, banging the side of the chrome appliance. "How hard is it to get a latte?" "Don't break it," Eleanor said, sweeping into the kitchen in a silk robe. "That machine cost $4,000. Sarah was good for domestic tasks, if nothing else. We might need to hire a maid sooner than expected." "We can afford it," Liam said, walking in and kissing his mother on the cheek. "With Sarah's salary off the books and the new Amazon deal closing in January, we're going to be swimming in cash." The doorbell rang. "That must be Veronica." Liam grinned, fixing his hair in the reflection of the microwave. "I told her to come for breakfast." Liam swung the front door open, a welcoming smile plastered on his face. But it wasn't Veronica. Standing on the porch was a large man in a thick coat, holding a clipboard. Beside him stood 2 uniformed sheriff's deputies. "Liam Hawthorne?" the man asked. "Yes?" Liam's smile faltered. "Is there a problem, officers?" "I'm a process server, Mr. Hawthorne. These officers are here to ensure the peace is kept during service." The man handed Liam a thick packet of papers. "You, Eleanor Hawthorne, and Beatrice Hawthorne are hereby served with an emergency eviction notice." Liam laughed. It was a genuine, confused laugh. "Eviction? You have the wrong house, buddy. We own this place. According to the deed registry and the terms of the Sarah Miller Revocable Trust, you are guests," the server said flatly. "The trustee, Ms. Miller, has revoked your tenancy effective immediately due to, and I quote, hostile living conditions and breach of marital contract. You have 24 hours to vacate the premises." "This is insane," Eleanor shrieked, appearing behind Liam. "Get off my porch. I'll call the police." "We're the police, ma'am," one of the deputies said calmly. "And the paperwork is in order. The judge signed the emergency order late last night." "Apparently there is proof of intended dissipation of assets." "Dissipation of what?" Liam stammered. He looked down at the papers. There it was, signed by Judge Reynolds. "Order to vacate." 24 hours, the server repeated. "We'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. to change the locks. Have a nice day." As the police cars pulled away, a bright red convertible pulled into the driveway. Veronica stepped out, looking like a runway model in a white fur coat and oversized sunglasses. She navigated around the stunned Hawthorne family, holding a bottle of champagne. "Merry Christmas, baby," she squealed, throwing her arms around a frozen Liam. "I saw the cops leaving. Did Sarah try to cause trouble? Is she gone?" "She's gone," Liam muttered, looking at the eviction notice. His hands were shaking. "Good! Let's pop this!" Veronica cheered. "I want a tour!" Especially the master bedroom. "We have a problem," Liam said, his voice cracking. We have to go to the office, now." "On Boxing Day?" Beatrice whined. "I haven't even had breakfast." "Shut up, Beatrice," Liam snapped, a panic rising in his chest that he couldn't suppress. "Sarah did something." "She did something to the house deed. I need to get into the company safe. I need the original documents." "Well, hurry up," Eleanor commanded, though her face had gone pale. "Fix this, Liam, before the neighbors see." Liam ran to his SUV. He pressed the ignition button. The engine roared to life. He backed out, his mother and sister scrambling into the back seat, Veronica confusedly jumping into the passenger side. "Where are we going?" Veronica asked, sensing the tension. "To the bank," Liam said. "I need cash, then the office." They pulled up to the drive-through ATM of First National. Liam jammed his Platinum business card into the machine. He punched in his PIN. Transaction declined. "Damn it," Liam hissed. "Chip must be dirty." He tried again. Card rejected. "Please contact issuer." "Try mine," Eleanor said, handing over her gold card. Liam inserted it. Card rejected. "Beatrice?" Liam asked. "I have $12, Beatrice said helpfully. "What is going on?" Veronica asked, her voice losing its playful lilt. "Why are all your cards declined?" "Sarah," Liam whispered. The name tasted like poison now. She handled the banking. She must have flagged them as stolen or something. "Call the bank." Eleanor screamed from the back seat. "Tell them your crazy ex-wife is hacking us." Liam dialed the concierge line for high-net-worth clients. He put it on speaker. "First National, this is David. How can I help you, Mr. Hawthorne?" "David, my cards aren't working. My wife, my ex-wife, has done something insane. Unfreeze them immediately." There was a long pause on the line. The sound of typing. "Mr. Hawthorne." David's voice was suddenly very formal. "I see a flag here on the accounts placed by the primary account holder, Miss Sarah Miller." "I am the CEO of the company," Liam shouted. "It's a joint account." "Actually, sir, these are sub-accounts linked to the Hawthorne Guarantor Fund," David explained. "According to our records, Ms. Miller is the sole guarantor. She has frozen all assets pending a forensic audit due to suspected embezzlement by authorized users." "Embezzlement?" Liam screeched. "I'm spending my own money." "Not technically, sir. Not until the audit is clear. We cannot unlock the funds without Ms. Miller's written consent. Is there anything else?" Liam hung up. The silence in the car was deafening. "She cut us off," Beatrice whispered. "How are we going to buy food? How are we going to put gas in the car?" "I have gas," Liam said, gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. "We're going to the office. I can override this from the main terminal." "I'll fire her. I'll fire her remote access. I'll sue her for every penny she has." He floored the accelerator. The SUV tore down the highway toward the Hawthorne Logistics headquarters, a glass monolith in the city center. Veronica sat quietly in the passenger seat, clutching her champagne bottle. She was looking at Liam differently now. "Don't worry, Ronnie," Liam said, trying to sound confident but failing miserably. "It's just a glitch. Sarah thinks she's smart. She's just a glorified accountant. I'm the boss." "Sure, baby," Veronica said, pulling out her phone. She texted her friend, "Don't come to the party tonight. Drama." The Hawthorne Logistics building stood tall and imposing, a symbol of the family's legacy. Or at least, that's what Liam told himself as he screeched into the executive parking lot. He noticed something odd immediately. The gate arm didn't lift. "Come on," Liam muttered, flashing his headlights. The sensor usually picked up his car's RFID tag automatically. Nothing happened. "Just park on the street," Eleanor yelled. "We need to get inside." Liam reversed and parked illegally in a loading zone. The four of them marched toward the revolving glass doors. Liam strode with the confidence of a man who owned the place, ready to scream at the security guard for the gate malfunction. Beep, beep. A red light flashed. Access denied. "What?" Liam slapped it again. Beep, beep. "Let me try," Eleanor said, using her board member badge. "Beep, beep. Hey, Frank!" Liam shouted over the turnstile at the security guard sitting at the desk. Frank had worked there for 20 years. "Buzz us in! The system is down!" Frank stood up slowly. He didn't look happy. He looked uncomfortable. He walked around the desk, but he didn't press the button to open the gate. "I can't do that, Mr. Hawthorne," Frank said heavily. "What do you mean you can't?" Liam demanded. "I'm the CEO. Open the damn gate." "Mr. Hawthorne, I have strict orders," Frank said, gesturing to a memo on his clipboard. "As of 8 a.m. this morning, all badges issued to Liam Hawthorne, Eleanor Hawthorne, and Beatrice Hawthorne have been deactivated. You are on the Do Not Admit list." "Who put us on a list?" Eleanor screeched, her face turning a blotchy red. "I am the chairwoman emeritus." "The order came from the majority shareholder," Frank said, "and the legal team." "Sarah," Liam breathed. He felt like he was being punched in the gut, over and over again. "Where is she? Is she here?" "Ms. Miller is in the boardroom," Frank said. "She's in a meeting with the board of directors." "Without me?" Liam's eyes widened. "She can't hold a board meeting without the CEO." "I believe the meeting is about the CEO, sir," Frank said. "Let us in, Frank." Liam stepped forward, his fists clenched. "Or so help me God, you will be fired before lunch." "I don't think you have the authority to fire anyone right now, Liam," a voice cut through the air. Walking out of the elevator bank, calm and composed, was Arthur Henderson. He looked impeccable in a charcoal suit holding a leather folder. "Arthur," Liam snarled. "You're behind this. Tell them to let us in." "I can't do that," Arthur said, stopping on the safe side of the turnstiles. "The board is currently voting on a motion to remove you as CEO for cause negligence, misappropriation of funds, and conduct detrimental to the company." "Detrimental conduct?" Eleanor scoffed. "Because he divorced his wife?" "No," Arthur smiled thinly. "Because he lost the license to the Hawthorne Tracker software." Liam froze. The blood drained from his face. The software?" "Yes," Arthur continued. "Sarah Miller, the owner of the IP, has exercised her clause to revoke the license effective immediately. Without that software, Hawthorne Logistics cannot fulfill its contract with Amazon. The company is effectively dead in the water, unless what?" Liam asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Unless the company undergoes a restructuring," Arthur said. "Which brings us to the second motion the board is voting on right now, a hostile takeover." "Takeover by whom?" Arthur pointed a finger upward. "Sarah Miller. She is converting her debt, the money she loaned you to save the company in 2021, into equity. Since the company cannot repay the loan immediately due to the frozen accounts, the contract stipulates she takes controlling interest." Liam staggered back, leaning against the glass wall for support. It was a coup. A bloodless, paper-based coup. She wasn't just taking half. She was taking it all. "You can't do this," Beatrice cried, tears streaming down her face. "This is our legacy. Daddy built this." "Daddy built it," Arthur corrected. "You three bankrupted it." "Sarah saved it. And yesterday, you treated the woman who saved you like garbage. Did you really think she wouldn't read the fine print?" Just then, the elevator dinged. The doors opened, and a group of people walked out. The board of directors. Men and women Liam had known his whole life. They looked somber. They avoided eye contact with Liam as they walked toward the exit. And then, Sarah walked out. She wasn't wearing her usual modest cardigans. She was wearing a sharp, tailored navy suit that screamed power. Her hair was pulled back in a sleek bun. She looked taller. Liam rushed to the glass barrier. "Sarah! Sarah! Wait!" Sarah paused. She turned her head slowly, looking at Liam through the glass turnstile like he was a zoo animal. "Sarah, please," Liam begged. "Let's talk. We can work this out. You don't have to do this." Sarah walked closer. She stopped just inches from the barrier. Veronica, standing behind Liam, actually stepped back, intimidated by the sheer intensity of Sarah's gaze. "I tried to work it out, Liam," Sarah said. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried perfectly in the silent lobby. "I tried for 7 years. I cooked, I cleaned. I fixed your messes. I loved you. I know, Liam said frantically. I made a mistake. The divorce papers. I can tear them up. Oh, don't do that. Sarah smiled coldly. I've already countersigned them. Arthur filed them this morning, but I made a few edits to the settlement agreement. Sarah, the house, the company, Eleanor pleaded, her pride finally breaking. Where will we live? I hear the motel on Route 9 has vacancies, Sarah said. It's affordable, about $40 a night. You should have enough cash between you for a few nights. You're a monster, Beatrice screamed. I'm a businesswoman, Sarah corrected, and I have work to do. Security? Frank stepped forward. Yes, Ms. Miller. Please escort these trespassers off the property. If they resist, call the police. Yes, ma'am. Sarah turned on her heel and walked back toward the elevators. She didn't look back. Not when Liam screamed her name. Not when Eleanor collapsed into a sobbing heap on the floor. Not when Veronica quietly turned around and walked out the door, getting into her red convertible and driving away without saying a word to Liam. Sarah stepped into the elevator. As the doors closed, blocking out the sight of her crying husband and his cheering squad, she let out a long breath. She didn't feel happy. Not yet. Revenge, she realized, was exhausting, but as the elevator rose to the top floor, the CEO's floor, she checked her phone. A notification from the bank. Transfer complete. $2, $500,000, moved to Miller Holdings. Okay, maybe she felt a little happy. But she wasn't done. They were broken, but they weren't buried. And Sarah Miller didn't leave jobs half-finished. The Royal Sunset Motel on Route 9 was royal in name only. It was a single-story strip of brick rooms that smelled permanently of stale cigarette smoke and damp carpet. The neon sign out front flickered with a maddening buzz. The O in royal burnt out, leaving it to read, Royal Sunset. Inside room 12, the Hawthorne dynasty was holding court on 2 sagging double beds. I cannot believe, Eleanor said, staring at the ceiling, that I am drinking instant coffee from a styrofoam cup. It tastes like dirt. It's all they had in the lobby, Mother, Liam snapped. He was pacing the small strip of carpet between the beds, phone pressed to his ear. Yes, I understand the account is frozen. I am telling you, this is a mistake. My lawyer will... Hello? He threw the phone onto the bed, hung up. That's the 3rd one today. What about the car? Beatrice asked, from the bathroom doorway. She was trying to apply makeup in the dim yellow light of the vanity. Can we sell the SUV? It's worth at least $80,000. Liam rubbed his temples. I tried. I called the dealership an hour ago. Turns out the lease is in the company's name. Sarah reported it stolen. If I drive it off this lot, the GPS tracker will alert the police. So we're trapped? Eleanor sat up, clutching her pearls. In this hovel? With no car and no money? We have cash, Liam said, pulling out his wallet. He counted the bills. I have $200. Mother? Eleanor opened her clutch. I have 40. Beatrice? I bought magazines and snacks at the gas station, Beatrice shrugged. I have $3. $243, Liam laughed, a manic, high-pitched sound. We are the Hawthorns. We are worth $50 million. How do we have $243? Because you let that woman take it. Eleanor stood up, her finger pointed at Liam's chest. You and your gambling. You and your laziness. I told you to watch her. I told you she was too smart for her own good. You told me to divorce her, Liam screamed back. You cheered. You clapped. You said, finally, Liam, you wanted her gone just as much as I did. I wanted her gone, not the money, Eleanor shrieked. The argument was interrupted by a heavy pounding on the door. Bang, bang, bang. Liam froze. Is it the police? He walked to the door and peered through the peephole. It wasn't the police. It was the motel manager, a man named Sal who wore a stained undershirt. Liam opened the door a crack. Yes? Checkout is at 11 a.m., Sal grunted. You staying another night? That'll be $50. 50? Liam scoffed. The sign says 39. Taxes and resort fees, Sal grinned, revealing a missing tooth. You paying or leaving? Liam looked back at his mother and sister. They had nowhere to go. No friends would take them in. Sarah had likely already released a statement to the press. And in their social circle, bankruptcy was contagious. No one wanted to catch it. We're staying. Liam sighed, handing over a crisp $50 bill, 1/4 of their net worth, gone. Good choice, Sal snatched the bill. Keep the noise down. People are trying to sleep. Liam slammed the door and sank onto the bed. He buried his face in his hands. The reality was setting in. This wasn't a temporary setback. This was a siege. Meanwhile, 20 miles away, Sarah was having a very different morning. She stood in the center of the CEO's office, formerly Liam's office. The cleaning crew had just finished. The stench of Liam's expensive cologne was gone, replaced by the fresh scent of lemon and sage. The portrait of the Hawthorne ancestors behind the desk had been taken down, replaced by a modern piece of abstract art Sarah had always loved. The board is ready for you, Ms. Miller, Arthur said, standing at the door. Thank you, Arthur, Sarah said. She smoothed her skirt. Do we have the press release regarding the leadership change? Sent to the wire services 10 minutes ago, Arthur confirmed. Stock price is actually up 4%. The market likes certainty, and they know you're the one who actually ran the place. Good. There is one other thing. Arthur hesitated. Liam has been trying to contact the legal department. He's threatening to sue for wrongful termination and theft of marital assets. Sarah walked over to the window, looking out at the city skyline. Let him try. He can't afford a lawyer who can beat you, Arthur, but I don't want to just beat him in court. I want to make sure he never hurts anyone again. What do you mean? Liam didn't just gamble away his own money, Sarah said, turning around. Her eyes were dark. I've been looking at the shipping manifests from the last 6 months. There are discrepancies. Big ones. Containers marked as industrial machinery that weighed half of what they should. Ships rerouted to non-standard ports in the middle of the night. Arthur's expression shifted from professional to concerned. Sarah, if he was moving contraband, that's federal. That's prison time. If the company is implicated. That's why I need full access to the Dark Archive, Sarah said. The Dark Archive was an encrypted server Liam kept separate from the main network. He claimed it was for sensitive client data. Sarah had never pushed to see it because she trusted him. I need the password, Sarah said. I know he wrote it down. Liam is terrible with memory. He writes everything down. Where? Arthur asked. Sarah closed her eyes, thinking back to the house. The master bedroom. The safe. No, she had checked the safe. Where did Liam hide things he didn't want her to see? Suddenly, a memory surfaced. A drunken night, 3 years ago. Liam laughing about his insurance policy. He had been fiddling with the antique globe in the library. The globe, Sarah whispered. The globe. In the executive library down the hall, Sarah said, rushing past Arthur. Does he still keep that antique globe there? I believe so. Sarah ran down the hallway, her heels clicking on the marble. She burst into the library. There it was, a 19th century globe on a mahogany stand. Liam loved it because it made him look worldly. She spun the globe. It creaked. She ran her fingers along the equator line. There, hidden near the coast of Brazil, was a tiny latch. She pressed it. The globe popped open. Inside wasn't liquor. It was a small black notebook. Sarah grabbed it. Her hands trembled as she opened the first page. It wasn't just passwords. It was a ledger. Date, October 12th. Shipment 404. Contents, unregistered firearms. Client, the syndicate. Payment, $500,000. Crypto. Sarah gasped. She flipped the page. Date, November 5th. Shipment 409. Contents, precursor chemicals. Client, Elmira. Payment, $750,000. Oh, Liam, Sarah whispered, feeling a mix of horror and vindication. You weren't just a bad husband, you were a criminal. Arthur appeared in the doorway. Sarah? What is it? Sarah held up the notebook. "I found it, Arthur. I found the leverage. This isn't just grounds for divorce. This is a RICO case." Arthur took the book, adjusting his glasses. He read the entries, his face growing paler with every line. Dear God! He was using the logistics network to run an international smuggling ring. "And he blamed the losses on market volatility," Sarah said, her voice shaking with rage. "He put me in danger. He put the whole company in danger. If Customs had caught one of those containers—" "We have to call the FBI," Arthur said quietly. "Immediately. If we self-report, we can save the company. If they find out on their own—" "Call them," Sarah said, "but not yet." "Sarah, you can't sit on this." "I'm not sitting on it." Sarah walked to the shredder, then stopped. She wasn't going to destroy it. She was going to weaponize it. "I want him to know. I want him to know that I know. I want to see the look on his face when he realizes that the simple girl he married holds the keys to his cell. That's dangerous, Sarah." "He destroyed my life on Christmas, Arthur," Sarah said, clutching the notebook. "I'm going to destroy his freedom for New Year's." By December 28th, the Royal Sunset Motel on Route 9 had become a prison cell for the Hawthorne dynasty. The room smelled of stale cigarette smoke and desperation. The neon sign outside buzzed with a maddening flicker, casting a sickly yellow light over the two sagging beds where the family huddled. "I cannot believe," Eleanor said, staring at the water-stained ceiling, "that I am drinking instant coffee from a styrofoam cup. It tastes like dirt." "It's all they had in the lobby, Mother," Liam snapped. He was pacing the narrow strip of carpet between the beds, his phone pressed to his ear. He looked haggard. Stubble covered his jaw, and his eyes were bloodshot. The confidence of the Hawthorne air was gone, replaced by the feral look of a trapped animal. "What about the car?" Beatrice asked from the corner, where she was trying to fix her makeup in a cracked mirror. "Can we sell the SUV? It's worth $80,000. "I tried," Liam rubbed his temples. "Sarah reported it stolen. The dealership said if I move it 1 inch, the GPS tracker alerts the police." "So we're trapped?" Eleanor sat up, clutching her pearls, the only valuable thing she had left. "In this hovel? With no money?" Liam pulled out his wallet and counted the bills. "We have $240, total." "That's one dinner," Beatrice scoffed. "That's our life savings," Liam screamed, losing his composure. "Don't you get it? She took everything. The accounts, the house, the credit lines. We are nobodies." He stormed into the bathroom and locked the door. He turned on the faucet to mask his voice and pulled a burner phone from his sock. This wasn't a phone for bankers or lawyers. This was for his side business. He dialed a number saved as Mr. V. "Yeah," a gravelly voice answered. "V, it's Liam," he whispered, his hand trembling. "Listen, there's been a complication. My wife, she froze the company assets. Shipment 412 is stuck in customs." There was a long, heavy silence on the line. "You told me you were the boss, Liam," V said slowly. "You told me you controlled the port authorities." "I do." "I will," Liam pleaded. "I just need a few days. She's just a number cruncher. I can get back in. I just need a bridge loan. 50 grand. To hire a shark lawyer and get an injunction." "You're asking me for money?" V laughed, a dry sound like sandpaper on stone. "When you already owe me a shipment of precursor chemicals? You have 24 hours to release that container, Liam. Or I don't come for the money. I come for you." Click. Liam dropped the phone. He felt like he was going to vomit. The walls of the bathroom seemed to be closing in. He had to do something. He had one card left to play, the insurance policy. He washed his face, composed himself, and walked back into the bedroom. "I'm going out," Liam announced, grabbing his coat. "Where?" Eleanor demanded. "We have no gas." "I'm taking the bus to the rental place. I have to go to the house. There's something in the library I need to sell." "It's worth a fortune." He didn't wait for their questions. He ran out into the cold night. It took him 3 hours to get to the estate. He parked the beat-up rental car down the street and hiked through the woods to avoid the security cameras at the gate. He hopped the back fence, tearing his trousers on the iron spikes, but he didn't care. Adrenaline was pumping through his veins. The house was dark. Massive and silent, it loomed over him like a tomb. Sarah must be at her apartment or working late. Liam crept up to the French doors of the library. He found the spare key hidden under a loose stone in the patio, a habit Sarah had begged him to break for security reasons. Thank God he hadn't listened. He unlocked the door and slipped inside. The smell of old paper and leather hit him. It used to smell like home. Now it smelled like a crime scene. He pulled out his phone, flashlight, and swept the room. He went straight for the antique globe on the mahogany stand. Come on, he muttered, spinning it. He found the hidden latch near the equator line. He pressed it. The globe popped open. Empty. Liam's heart stopped. He shoved his hand inside the hollow sphere, feeling around frantically. Nothing. No notebook. No leverage. No life raft. Looking for this? The library lights slammed on, blinding him. Liam spun around, shielding his eyes. Sarah was sitting in the high-backed leather armchair in the corner, swilling a glass of red wine. In her other hand, she held the small black notebook. Sarah, Liam breathed, squinting at her. You broke in, Sarah said calmly. That's a felony, Liam. Add it to the list. Give that to me. Liam took a step forward, his desperation making him bold. You don't know what that is. It's private company property. Oh, I think I do. Sarah tapped the cover. I read it, Liam. October 12th, unregistered firearms. November 5th, narcotics precursors. You weren't just a bad husband. You were running a smuggling ring through my family's company. It's not what it looks like, Liam lied, sweat pouring down his face. It's a simulation, a business model test. Don't insult me. Sarah stood up, her face hard. I ran the numbers. The dates match the unexplained losses in the shipping manifests. You were laundering money for the cartel. Sarah, please. Liam's voice cracked. He fell to his knees. These people, they aren't like us. V will kill me. Literally kill me. If I don't give him that book or the money, I'm dead. You have to help me. Help you? Sarah looked at him with genuine pity, not for the man he was, but for the man she thought he was. I tried to help you for 7 years. I fixed your credit. I hid your gambling debts, and you repaid me by serving me divorce papers on Christmas while your mother clapped. I'm sorry. I'll sign anything. I'll give you everything. Liam crawled toward her. Just give me the book. I can't do that, Liam, Sarah said, stepping back, because I've already shared it. Shared it? With who? The FBI. Sarah pressed a button on a small remote in her hand. Instantly, the French doors he had sneaked through burst open. The hallway doors swung wide. Men in windbreakers marked FBI swarmed the room, weapons drawn. Liam Hawthorne! Hands in the air! Do it now! No, Liam gasped, scrambling backward until he hit the desk. Agent Miller has been parked in the driveway for an hour, Sarah said, her voice cutting through the chaos. We figured you'd come back for the evidence. You're predictable, Liam. You always were. An agent grabbed Liam, spinning him around and slamming him against the desk. The click of handcuffs echoed in the high-ceilinged room. Sarah! Liam screamed as they dragged him toward the door. Sarah, don't let them take me! I'm your husband! Sarah watched him go, her expression unreadable. She waited until the shouting faded and the flashing blue lights outside illuminated the snow-covered lawn. She walked to the sink in the wet bar, poured out the rest of her wine, and rinsed the glass. She dried her hands slowly. They were steady. The rat was caught. But she wasn't done yet. There were still 2 more loose ends waiting at the Sunset Motel. And Sarah Miller didn't leave jobs half-finished. The fluorescent lights of the county jail waiting room hummed with a depressing, low-frequency buzz. It was 3 a.m. Eleanor and Beatrice sat on hard plastic chairs, huddled together like refugees in their own city. They were still wearing the clothes they had fled the motel in, Eleanor in a stained silk blouse, Beatrice in sweatpants. They looked like ghosts of the women they used to be. When the heavy security door buzzed open, they both jumped up, expecting a high-priced lawyer. They expected a miracle. Instead, they saw Sarah. She walked in, accompanied by Arthur Henderson. She looked fresh, rested, and terrifyingly calm. She held a takeaway coffee cup in one hand and a thin file in the other. "You!" Eleanor lunged forward, but a guard stepped in her path. "You witch! You put my son in a cage! He's a Hawthorne! Fix this immediately!" "Actually, Eleanor," Sarah said, taking a slow sip of her coffee, "the FBI put him in a cage. I just gave them the key." "He's your husband!" Beatrice cried, mascara running down her cheeks. "You're supposed to stand by him." "He divorced me, remember?" Sarah replied coolly. "On Christmas. You clapped. Don't you remember clapping, Beatrice?" "I do." "It's been playing on a loop in my head for 3 days. Arthur stepped forward, clearing his throat. "We are here to inform you of the civil implications of Mr. Hawthorne's arrest. Because the Hawthorne estate and the family trust were used to launder money for the cartel, the federal government has seized all assets under RICO statutes." "Seized?" Eleanor's knees gave out. She sank back into the plastic chair. "But the house? The jewelry? My pension?" "Gone," Arthur said without pity. "Whatever wasn't frozen by Sarah earlier is now property of the United States government. You are, effectively, destitute." "But I have nothing to do with it." Eleanor wailed. "I didn't know." "Ignorance is not a defense when you sit on the board of directors," Sarah said. "But because I am a generous woman, and because it is still technically the holiday season, I have a severance package for you." Sarah reached into her bag. Eleanor looked up, hope flickering in her eyes. Was it a check? A key to a condo? Sarah pulled out a small, wrinkled paper bag and tossed it onto Eleanor's lap. Eleanor opened it with trembling fingers. Inside were 3 bus tickets. "Bus tickets?" Eleanor whispered, horrified. "One way," Sarah clarified, "to Idaho. I have a cousin there who runs a potato farm. He's looking for seasonal sorters. It's minimum wage, back-breaking work, and it smells like manure. But it includes a trailer to sleep in." "You expect me, Eleanor Hawthorne, to sort potatoes?" Eleanor looked at Sarah as if she had grown 2 heads. "It's more than you deserve." Sarah leaned in, her voice dropping to a whisper that only Eleanor could hear. "You spent 7 years making me feel small. You treated me like a servant in my own home. You laughed when my life fell apart. Now you get to see how the other half lives." "I won't go," Eleanor hissed. "Then starve." Sarah straightened up. "Check out at the Sunset Motel is at 11 a.m., and I just canceled the credit card on file. Good luck." Sarah turned and walked toward the exit, ignoring Beatrice's hysterical sobbing. She walked out into the cool night air. For the first time in years, the knot in her chest was gone. 6 months later, the lunch rush at the Green Table, a trendy downtown cafe, was in full swing. Sarah sat at a corner table, reviewing the quarterly reports for Miller Logistics. The company had rebranded, and the stock was soaring. "Here is your latte, ma'am," a waitress said, placing the cup down. Her hand was shaking. Sarah looked up. The waitress wasn't a stranger. She was wearing a stained apron, her hair was frizzy and unkempt, and she looked 20 years older. It was Beatrice. Beatrice didn't make eye contact. She stared at the floor, shame radiating off her. She hadn't gone to Idaho. She had stayed in the city, learning the hard way that a Hawthorne without money was just another person who needed a job. "Thank you, Beatrice," Sarah said softly. Beatrice flinched at the sound of her name. She looked at Sarah's designer suit, the expensive laptop, the aura of peace. Then she looked at her own cracked fingernails. "Is there anything else?" Beatrice whispered, her voice cracking. Sarah thought about being cruel. She thought about complaining about the foam art. But she didn't need to. The universe had already balanced the scales. "No," Sarah said, placing a $20 bill on the table. "Keep the change." Beatrice stared at the money, charity from the woman she had mocked. Tears welled in her eyes, but she took it. She had to. Sarah watched her walk away, then checked her phone. A text from Arthur. "Liam's sentencing is done. 15 years. No parole." Sarah deleted the text. She closed her laptop, stood up, and walked out into the sunshine. Her life was just beginning. And that is the story of how the Hawthorne family learned the hardest lesson of all. Be careful who you cheer against, because karma is always listening. They thought Sarah was weak because she was kind. They thought she was stupid because she was quiet. But they forgot that the person who builds the castle knows exactly where to pull the stone that brings the whole thing crashing down. What do you think? Did Sarah go too far by leaving them with nothing? Or did the Hawthornes get exactly what they deserved? I want to hear your opinion in the comments below. Would you have given them the bus tickets or left them to rot? If you enjoyed this story of justice served cold, please hit that like button. It really helps the channel grow. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you never miss a new story from us. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.